Hello everyone and welcome to another weekly recap with me at the Custa News Network, and we are 1 month away from Overwatch 2. We're so close, I can taste it. It's like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's that thing that you've been waiting for so long in your life. It's like Christmas is coming. I've been watching Al and I'm just like, man, I just want to play Overwatch 2 so bad, man. It's like an addiction. I just want to start playing some ranked. I want to start grinding this game. I'm sure there's a lot of people like that out there as well. So we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. But let's catch up with the Overwatch League. That's why we're all here. So, let's start with the usual news cycle of what's happened, and then we'll talk about the games. And at the end, I will do my tournament bracket for the Summer Showdown at the end. The Toronto LAN is just a few days away. You should be excited. It's going to be a banger. Even though the meta's been kind of whack with the Junker Queen, it's been a cool meta. There's been a lot of storylines that need to play out, and it's going to be an exciting time. So let us start off with the Boston Uprising, the professional organizational announcement. They dropped head coach Laurie. Laurie has been someone who has been with the Boston Uprising for a while now. There's been a bit of tension going on, especially with the addition of Mag, that he's been trying to move towards a very Korean-centric roster, even though if you probably consider who have been the best players for the Boston Uprising this year, and as of late, it has been Punk, it's been Crimzo, and they signed Seeker. So they were playing this Korean roster, but not playing the best pieces. So Laurie was officially dropped from this roster. And this week we got to see the unleash of the Western players on the Boston Uprising. We had Punk come back on the Junker Queen, have a great performance. Crimzo just doing a great job on that Brig. They did a great job of adapting into the meta. But the man of the moment is 100% Seeker for the Boston Uprising. Rookie performance, rookie debut here for the Boston Uprising, and went crazy on that Sojourn. Has a lot of personality. We've played a lot with Seeker and Ranked. We know how mechanically gifted he is, but we haven't, seen those level of performances from a lot of these contenders players who have stepped into the league. It usually feels like it takes them a while to get their footing, or they just haven't really shown up in the same way that we expect. So big congratulations to Seeker and to the Boston Uprising team for getting a win. They're out of the tournament anyway. We're not going to see them at all, but that's a confidence booster going forward. We talk about it time and time again. 10 teams from the West will get an opportunity to compete in the playoffs. From 7 to 10, there will be a play-in spot for 2 more teams. So for your Boston Uprising, for your Vancouver Titans, for these teams that are sort of lingering towards the bottom, as long as you're not in the bottom 3 teams, you will get an opportunity to keep your season alive. So that's what the Boston Uprising are playing for right now. So cool to see them stepping up. With lesser news that's been going on, we have Piggy, who is teasing a contract signing. We don't really know where this is going. I haven't really even speculated a team that Piggy would be good on. If we were taking a stab at it, where would you think he would go? What do you guys think? Seoul? I don't think he would ever play on Seoul. Like, maybe they're just bolstering their roster and they could do that, but I don't think he would really ever play. NYXL? I don't think NYXL... Like, the ones that make the most sense is Washington and NYXL, but I don't think either of those teams are trying to sign people right now. So it's kind of interesting. Charge don't need him. Krong's been playing well. Outlaws? Guys. Florida? No, I don't think Florida are going to sign him as well. I think they're all full in on someone. I don't really know. I actually genuinely don't know where he would go. Hunters? Like, does that even make sense? It's a big question mark. I don't really know where Piggy's going to go. It'll be interesting. It'll be exciting to see where he ends up. We'll see. Vancouver? No, I don't think they're going to sign him either. I don't think they need him either. So we'll see. We'll see. Only time shall tell. The other news, the last piece of news that came through is Karib was stepping down from the Florida Mayhem coaching role. He was a player who ended up sort of retiring as a player, and the Florida Mayhem offered him a coaching gig. He did a bit of coaching, but, you know, just really wasn't for him. So best of luck to wherever Kriv ends up next. Obviously, I have a lot of respect. He's a friend of mine. I love Kriv, and I hope he does well. It'd be cool to see him unretire for Overwatch 2. He is mechanically still incredible at what he does. Just feels like we haven't really seen him in his groove ever since the good old Valiant days. Maybe he's the host on the desk, you know, who knows? Maybe he will be hosting this week's Overwatch League. Never know. We'll see. But that is the weekly recap of the news cycle. Obviously, we're past the trade deadline now, so there's not going to be as many informational things, that kind of stuff. It's going to be more about the gameplay. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what we just witnessed, and let's start with the West. Saw some interesting matches come along. We saw the Gladiators really stepping and finding footing in this meta, beating down the London Spitfire, team that has been performing. Wait, this is the wrong stage. They did not play. The Gladiators beat the Rain. I was going to say, Gladiators beat London. I'm like, I don't remember that. I didn't think that. Gladiators beat the Rain in the Summer Showdown. The Gladiators beat the Atlanta Rain in a pretty convincing win, and this sort of like made us question of like, shit. If the Gladiators make it to the LAN, are they going to be able to like have this crazy run? Because the Gladiators look good in this meta now. They seem to have found their footing, the way that they were using their ultimates. You know, Atlanta Rain were by no means a weak team in this meta towards the end as well. So it wasn't meant to be though. The Gladiators at 2-4 did not qualify. It was close, but the Toronto Defiant put that to bed by pooping in the bed against the London Spitfire later. But you know, the Gladiators, you know, I've been a big advocate for them, saying that I think people are overstating their failures. You know, the Gladiators lost to the San Francisco Shock, the Dallas Fuel, the Toronto Defiant, and when they were good, and the Houston Outlaws. So these were probably, when I do my power rankings in a minute, those are probably going to be my top 4 teams. Maybe not the Toronto Defiant anymore after a weak performance against London Spitfire, but they played good teams. Should they beat teams like that? Yes, absolutely, with the caliber of players that they have. But you can't deny that they had a hard schedule. And if they had any other schedule and they played a couple of middle table teams, a couple of weaker teams, they probably would have been able to skirt in, and then anything would have been possible. But it doesn't matter. They got knocked out. Gladiators in full effect. So Atlanta Rain also getting knocked out with this loss from Gladiators. So not seeing Gladiators or Atlanta Rain in this upcoming stage is going to be fun. You know, it feels like we've been talking about these teams every time we have these big tournaments. Atlanta came, I think, 3rd in both tournaments in Kickoff Clash. If I'm taking a stab at it, they came 3rd in the Kickoff Clash and 3rd in the mid-season. Gladiators won both. So, you know, these are dominant teams that aren't going to be showing up in this Toronto LAN, giving opportunities for someone else to step up. We were talking about it in the Watchpoint truck before we left. A new team will win in the West. Who is it going to be, though? That is the big question. Is the San Francisco Shock going to be able to finally win a stage after what feels like a while? Same thing with the Dallas Fuel, team that hasn't really lived up to the hype that we expected from them last year. One of those teams is likely to win, but you never know. Houston Outlaws? Fans, I don't want to get you guys too hyped up, but if you guys are playing at the same level that you have from time to time, there is a world in which the Outlaws could surprise a lot of people. They are the dark horse team, in my opinion, to win it all. So we'll see. But, you know, if you're an Outlaws fan, you've been through this before. Just it's okay. Just be cautiously optimistic. New York Excelsior played the Paris Eternal, and you know, Paris played twice. They played against the Florida Mayhem. They played against the New York Excelsior. We were like, oh my God, maybe Paris will be good. Maybe they'll finally come into fruition. They're playing against weaker teams. No, Paris just aren't very good. It's a sad reality. I'm hoping we'll get a better look from these guys after, you know, a couple of weeks breaks, a couple of weeks experience getting into, you know, a new meta. They'll be able to sort of reset with whatever these Junker Queen nerfs are going to come through. And hopefully we'll be able to see better looks from these guys, because it so far has not looked very good. They won a map though against New York. Proud of you guys, but they haven't really shown their true potential. New York and the Florida Mayhem, we're going to jump forward a little bit. New York played Florida Mayhem at the end here. We were questioning, will the New York Excelsior be able to finally, you know, fulfill their talent promise? Is Yaki a top 3 flex DPS in the league? Will Flora step up? Will they step up at all or do anything? No, they're just not very good. They're kind of boomed for this season. The Florida Mayhem won this one toe to toe pretty convincingly. Florida looks to be in a pretty good spot. They're very solidly middle of the pack, a little bit lower than middle of the pack. They're not going to lose to a team like the NYXL, especially with these little strange looks that force teams to adapt into them. You know, it sort of threw the Dallas Fuel off a little bit, but New York Excelsior did not have the answer to it. So then we had the big match of the weekend. The Dallas Fuel played against the San Francisco Shock. I had personally had the Shock to win it all in this match and honestly to win the whole tournament, but Dallas Fuel getting upset at me that I'm a hater once again. It does feel like I'm a Dallas Fuel hater at this point. I don't know why, but they look good. Hanbin is pretty convincingly the best Junker Queen in the world right now. He said it himself in an interview. He hasn't played against anyone who has been able to match him in the East. I don't think any of those Junker Queens are better than Hanbin. He is just on a different level right now. Edison really shutting up the haters of saying that they don't have a hit scan player. Edison's been performing great. Honestly, on the Ash, he had some lights out performances. He's been able to play the Sojourn as well. Just don't play Gurio, okay? Edison is the truth for this team. Sparkle's coming back into form. I don't like that they're switching between Doha and Sparkle from time to time. Just pick one. Like, it doesn't feel like there's drastic enough differences. Doesn't feel like they're flexing very much, so there's a reason for that. I want them to just pick one. Personally, I'd prefer to see Sparkle. I think Sparkle has the highest potential, and I think they've been leaning that way as well. So then we obviously have Chio and Fielder, who are just bonkers at the game. So San Francisco Shock getting a little rocked. Their win streak coming to an end at 20 regular season wins. They didn't look that good in that match. It was kind of disappointing to see them. They just didn't really live up to the expectations and hype that we had for them in this match. But hey, when we get to LAN, all the gloves come off. Anything can happen. So I hope that the Shock can finally get off their stage jitters. But I hope we get to see a bigger matchup head to head. Got full capped on push. Dallas is a very good push team. Probably one of the best push teams that we have in the league. They seem to full cap on everyone. They seem to understand it very well. Then we go to the Houston Outlaws versus the Washington Justice. We were like, oh shit, Washington, they've qualified for the LAN. How good is the B team? Pelican says no. We talked about it in the selection show that Pelican is just on one. If there is anyone who can put on the same level of Genji performances as Proper, where you just hope that this guy goes crazy and kills everyone, it's the Pelican show, man. That guy is on a full anime redemption arc, and that is really the crux of why we have so much hope for the Outlaws in this Toronto LAN. You know, obviously they have all the other pieces are there. Like, you know, they're playing well. The Junker Queen, the Lucio, the Brig. Like, they're all individually performing at a solid level. Not outstanding, but you just need to be solid and need to be playing it smart. And they are. But the Merit and the Pelican peak of their performances, if they can do that consistently throughout the entirety of the LAN, they can take it to the Dallas Fuel and the Shock. But the question is, will they show up? They have never finished higher than a 6th place finish, I don't think, in a LAN ever. So this will be breaking the mold for them. Obviously, every time we get hyped up on them, they seem to always disappoint us, but hopefully this is not that time. Washington is kind of a wild card. We have at the LAN like Washington, Florida, London. I don't expect either of these teams to have these crazy dark horse runs and be able to beat these top teams. But there's upset potential in like a match here or there, and they can potentially fight for, you know, a top 4 position, you know, if someone is, you know, decides to start struggling. So I'm excited to see where they'll come out. We had the Boston Uprising taking on the Vancouver Titans. I think the Vancouver Titans August 14th train is starting to hit the brakes a little bit. You know, I've been saying this for a while, and let me pull this up. I think Vancouver, they called me a hater. I'm not a hater of the Vancouver Titans, and I don't want it to come off that way. I feel like I'm realistic with their performances. They are finally getting some wins. They went 3-3 in this tournament. Congratulations. They're turning their season around. Potentially be able to squeak in for the playoffs if they keep putting on these good performances. But, you know, they went 3-3, but let's keep in mind the teams that they won against, right? They did go close with Toronto, which you need to put respect on that. But then they beat Paris and New York, the 2 worst teams in this tournament. Then went to map 5 with Washington and beat them. And, you know, Washington have looked fine, middle of the pack. So And then they lost to Houston Outlaws in pretty dominant fashion, and now lost to a completely retooled Boston Uprising. They're middle of the pack, and I think they're firmly there. I think they do have that level of aspire, go kill 5 in their wheelhouse, and they are one of those teams that you have to keep an eye on and you have to worry when playing against them. But let's stem the expectations a little bit. Their chances of winning the entire thing is quite low. So we'll see that. And Boston Uprising, we talked about them already. Great performance by Seeker in his debut performance, and Boston Uprising get a win with their Western roster. This is the big match that has relevance to this upcoming weekend. Toronto Defiant fall 1-3 to the London Spitfire. This was the nail in the coffin for the Los Angeles Gladiators. The London Spitfire looked to be in just really good form. Just playing honestly straight up. They didn't really play almost any Mei. They just played the Genji. Backbone on the Genji has been consistently impressing us ever since Super talked smack about Backbone Genji. Backbone's really been stepping up. He's just playing solid. He's no Pelican, he's no Proper, but he does his job. And I think that's the truth for everyone on the Spitfire. Sparker is the truth of this roster. I think if you're looking at that one player of who is that star performer that is going to get Spitfire wins against these top teams, it is Sparker. This kid is fucking crazy. He put Hisu in the ground on that Circuit Royale. He is just super clean with it. He has that star potential. He is a star of this league moving forward. I'm excited to see more from him moving forward. But honestly, the Spitfire, just very well coached as well. They don't have the star talent as much, but they're able to get these wins. So we'll see. We'll see. Toronto Defiant, though, although and Hisu just going missing, they cannot go missing in that way again. Otherwise, they're just going to blow out of their own LAN. Hopefully, they get the LAN buff moving forward as a team. So that's the Western region. We already talked about NYXL Florida. So let's talk about the East. The Chengdu Hunters. If you were a fan of the Chengdu Hunters and you thought, holy shit, they might do it. Plot twist, they didn't. Chengdu Hunters are back to being disappointing. We got to get Leave off of this team, man. Leave is like so good, yet this team just continues to just disappoint time and time again. Jinmu's just way too inconsistent of a player. They get 3-0'd by the Guangzhou Charge. Jimmy doing Jimmy things. He's a crazy player. Jimmy has his redemption arc, honestly, might be one of the best ones that we've ever seen in the league. Because he was pretty bad on the Chengdu Hunters in the past. His hit scan just way too inconsistent, not impressive at all. But he is actually, he has gone toe-to-toe with some of the best hit scans that we have in the league right now. Leave is one of them. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see Jimmy moving forward. The Guangzhou Charge went 4-2. Guangzhou also beat Hangzhou. Jimmy went toe-to-toe with Shy. Had a pretty good performance there. I actually don't think I perfectly watched this match, but seen bits of the highlights, seen bits and pieces. Jimmy's looking good. And honestly, Choicer one on the Genji, looking kind of nasty with it. So they have all the tools, especially with Krong waking up from his 2020 slumber, to be able to go pretty solid. Like, I could see them realistically finishing third pretty easily in this tournament in the East. Obviously, there's only 4 teams. Do I think the Charge can beat a Seoul or a Shanghai? I don't think so. If I'm being honest, I think they're probably just going to get outskilled a little bit. They've shown a strength in this, but they also haven't shown the ability to beat either of those teams. So I hope that I get proven wrong and that Jimmy hits another level, like Dragon Ball Z style, hits his Super Saiyan Form 19 or something like that. But I don't expect it to happen. The Shanghai Dragons beat down the Valiant 3-0. Shanghai Dragons are just ridiculous. Who are you, Lip? Don't need to even say more about that. They look to be on form. Great team coordination. The team to beat right now in this tournament. Chengdu Hunters also fell to the Los Angeles Valiant. Valiant got their first win in Map 5. They finally fucking didn't lose at Map 5. It was the Valiant playing exactly how they usually do. They're probably one of the worst teams in the East, but it's glad to see them getting a win. Disappointing loss here for the Hunters. The Philadelphia Fusion redemption arc began here, though, on this Saturday morning at 6 a.m. in my time. They pushed the Seoul Dynasty to Map 5. They've decided to stop playing Carpe on that hit scan. They've fully committed to MN3. Zest is just being zesty, hits 1,000 final blows, and when you have MN3 and Zest popping off in a meta like this, that's all you really need. Like, you know, there's, you know, Fury on the Junk Queen looking better. You know, the backline, you're not feeding as much. That's great. But if you have your hit scan and your Genji just going crazy, then you can go toe-to-toe with these teams. And that's why I think the Shanghai Dragons chose the Guangzhou Charge over the Philadelphia Fusion. You need to put respect onto those players and fear what they potentially could be. So Seoul Dynasty got pushed here. Made me a little worried for Seoul Dynasty, and that's why I didn't change my pick'ems after this happened. But Shanghai Dragons 3-0'd the Seoul Dynasty. I actually haven't watched this match. I think I watched the... Wait, did I watch this match? I'm trying to remember which game I recapped. No, I think I recapped the Philly game. I don't think I did watch this game. You should watch it again. Yeah, if it is, we're probably going to watch this game this weekend. I haven't watched this 3-0 of Shanghai versus Seoul, so I don't exactly know where it all went wrong. I believe the 3-0... No, I did watch this game. Because I talked about it. I do remember this. Midtown was the only one that wasn't close, but Gibraltar was crazy close. Lip switched to Widow at the end, went to 5 points. Well, Gibraltar could have gone either way. First map as well. Seoul Dynasty were one team fight away from winning a couple of those rounds as well on the first map on Lijiang Tower it was. I did. Yeah, no, it's all coming back to me. Sorry, it's just a lot of Overwatch in a short period of time. Yeah, I did watch this game, and it could have gone either way. So, like, I don't think the 3-0 was indicative of how close this game was. And you shouldn't look at this score of, like, Shanghai is just head and shoulders above the Seoul Dynasty. So, who are you best Genji easily? 100%. Stalker didn't really perform as well in this matchup. I think if Stalker can have a better performance against Shanghai, able to match Who Are You a little bit better, this match could go either way. So I'm excited to see both of these teams go toe-to-toe. And then Philadelphia Fusion beat the Hangzhou Spark. As I said, they're playing the right players. They're a little bit more confident in the meta. It'll be exciting to see both of these teams. Moving forward. So that's the Eastern region. The 4 teams that qualified from the East was the Philadelphia Fusion, the Guangzhou Charge, the Shanghai Dragons, and the Seoul Dynasty. We'll be able to see that play out throughout this week. We'll see. So, let's talk about the power ranking because a bunch of things need to change. I think the Dallas Fuel has to go into number 1. I think San Francisco Shock stays here. I'm not going to put Houston in the same tier. It feels disingenuous to put Houston in the same tier as Dallas Fuel and San Francisco Shock. They haven't... I don't think there's any reason to, but I think Houston is better than these other teams. So I'm actually going to put Houston in their own little tier break. I think that makes the most sense. I'm going to put Houston in their own little tier break, and they're going to stay there. Atlanta Gladiators, you guys are falling out just because you didn't make the tournament right now. I think you can make arguments that... What the fuck? No. I think you can make arguments that Gladiators and Reign should be in this tier. I would probably put Gladiators and Reign in this tier. I actually probably will. I'm going to put them at the bottom just because they didn't qualify. But I actually think Gladiators and Reign could go toe-to-toe with any of these teams. Easily. Toronto with Houston, not after that performance. Because if you're going to put Toronto with Houston, then you have to put London in that tier as well. And I don't think that's fair. I think Houston is better if they can play at the same level. I think Florida is going... I'm going to put Florida here. Let's put Florida here because I think Florida's probably in trouble and they're weakest. So London has to go at number 1 of this tier break. I think Toronto goes below them. Washington or Vancouver? Vancouver did beat Washington, so I think you have to put Vancouver over Washington. But London beat them both. London beat the Houston Outlaws. One second, let me think this. London beat the Houston Outlaws like week 16. If you go back and watch this match, that is not the same Houston Outlaws that played any of these other series. This was multiple weeks ago at this point, and I think Houston are at a better level. Like, I think you can't just, like, put the rankings as if, you know, who beat who and who beat who all the time. It needs to be somewhat relative to what we've seen since then, and I think Houston is above them. And I think Houston, as I said, is the dark horse team. I can't see any of these teams winning the Toronto LAN. It is very, very, very unlikely. Houston is the one dark horse team that I think would be out of there. I think what you can say that the Toronto might have been an unusually bad performance. With that said, it looks so bad that I don't think I can excuse it, especially since it only happened yesterday as well. They have 3 days to turn this around. This isn't like the Houston Outlaws had the bad performance against London Spitfire 2 weeks ago, right? 2 weekends ago, 3 weekends ago. Like, that's a completely different thing. How bad did you want to tell Goomba to move his mic? He was having mic issues. It was bad, yeah. But yeah, I actually think Gladiators, you could make an argument that I would put like Gladiators in Atlanta here, but I'm not going to do it. All right. This is my tier break for the West. This is going to be my power rankings for the West. Boston gets their own little tier break for that great performance recently. I just thought it was cool. And I think this is how I'm going to lead the West. Paris Eternal and New York Excelsior firmly in the bottom. This whole middle of the pack has just been a whole mess of like teams beating teams, beating teams, beating teams, which make it, none of it makes sense. I think there is a chance and a world in which any of these teams massively overperform or underperform at this LAN. I don't know which one it is, but the reason that the tier break is set up like this, Dallas Fuel and San Francisco Shock are the favorites. Dallas Fuel #1 favorite after beating Shock this weekend. Houston Outlaws have the outside chance to be able to beat Dallas Fuel or Shock. And as I said, everything else is a mess. So let's look at the Eastern region. Shanghai goes to #1. I think Seoul Dynasty stay in the same tier as them. Guangzhou Charge, then Philadelphia Fusion. I think I'm going to put Charge over Philly, even after a great redemption performance. And then these teams just suck. Like, this is the circle of suck. Hangzhou Spark goes above Chengdu Hunters. Honestly, fuck it. Valiant is also above them. We're going to put a 2-tier break here because I think there is this, like, massive gap between these teams. Hunters go into last because they lost to the Valiant. Hangzhou Spark have just had a really disappointing stage with just not understanding this meta when it shouldn't be that bad. But, and those are my East. East is easy. East is easy. Just like with this, I think Guangzhou Charge and Fusion, there is an outside chance that they can just show up and beat either of these teams, but it's an outside chance. It's a long shot. So, with this being my standings, let us do our bracket. That's my power rankings. Let's talk about the bracket. Dallas Fuel versus Washington Justice. Dallas Fuel's going to 3-0 the Washington Justice. I don't see Washington getting map over Dallas. I don't think, even if, like, the only way I see this happening is if Decay goes crazy against Edison. That is the only way that I see this match being competitive. Dallas never 3-0. Okay, okay, we'll trust the history. We'll give them a map. You know, they're true to the script. You're right. London Spitfire versus Toronto Defiant. All right, chat. Hear me out. What do you think the chances are that Toronto bounce back at their own LAN in front of their crowd? Here's my problem. I'm not a fan of Although Genji. Although Genji just doesn't resonate with me. But has London ever played well at LAN? Like, London fizzled out so hard in Hawaii. All right, I think Toronto are going to bounce back a little bit, but not enough to beat London. I'm going to go 3-2. I'm going to go 3-2 for London Spitfire. I think that's the play. I think that's the play. And then Vancouver versus San Francisco Shock. Good luck, Vancouver. You guys got this. You know, you heard it from DP himself in the selection show. They're just happy to be there. You know, that's them in Florida. They're like, dude, we're just happy to get a free holiday to Toronto. Like, you know, you guys want to pick us? Good luck. I think Shock's going to 3-0. I think they're going to come out angry. And my major hope is the Shock do not start slow. Primarily at the kickoff clash, Shock were really average in the first couple of rounds, and they just took them a while to get up. But they have more LAN experience. They feel more confident as a team. They look confident in this meta. They should be good. Florida Mayhem versus Houston Outlaws. I'm going to go... Okay, here's my thing. I'm going to go 3-2. I've hyped up Houston, but this seems like a perfect game for Houston to just get fucking way too close at LAN, though. Like, something just says that it's gonna start slow, but Houston will clutch it. And Houston wins in map 5 these days. Like, Houston are a changed group of people. They don't just choke in map 5. They actually seem to perform quite well in map 5. But I think they're gonna stumble a little bit against this Florida Mayhem team. Yeah, and I think it might force Houston off a little bit. And then we got Dallas Fuel versus London Spitfire. London, you get a map as well. Washington gets a map. You get a map. London gets a map. You get a map. But Dallas Fuel is going to beat you. San Francisco Shock is going to win 3-1 against the Houston Outlaws. I'll give Houston a map. But I think Shock is just on a different level from them right now. As I said, like, you can potentially predict that Pelican's going to come out and just go fucking crazy and Shock are going to be struggle. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Shock are going to come out strong. Toronto Defiant versus Washington Justice. I think Washington's going to fizzle out of this tournament. I'm going to give Washington a map, but I think Toronto's going to step up. Washington just had never given me confidence at LAN. And after dropping their whole roster, unless they just hit some new gear because of it, I don't think they're going to think. And I don't want to knock Toronto out first round. Vancouver versus Florida. Yo, this match is actually going to be a banger to see who goes out first. I think I give it to the Titans. I think Aspire diffs Hydron. I'm going to give it to Vancouver. But we're going to map 5. I hope this match is... I hope all the players and teams just have a great time and that this match bangs. Vancouver will have land buff? Yeah. I hope this is good. This is going to be a good match. Toronto versus Houston. Houston wins 3... I'm going to go 3-0. I think Toronto flies out in enormous fashion and Houston finally just hits their stride. This is so against the grain of any normal narrative ever, but I think Houston's just going to show up. I can't tell you why, but I think they play against Shock, they struggle, and then they take the training weights off. This doesn't make any sense, but I feel it in my bones. Feel it in my bones. Did Jake see you in the bathroom again? Jake's gonna pull out the Junkrat chat. Hear me out. London Spitfire versus Vancouver Titans. I wasn't on the train, you know? I felt left out. Feel like, you know, it cut me deep when the Vancouver Titans players said I was a hater, you know? I feel like I wasn't giving them the respect they deserved. Fuck it. Canada buff, baby. 3-2 banger. Aspire goes crazy. We're doing it. Let's go. The Titans literally just lost to Boston. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care. I'm off the goop. And then they get fucking destroyed by the Outlaws. I'll give them a map. Fuck it. I feel like too much of a hater, but hey, they're gonna get there. The Titans are gonna get top 4. Shock versus Dallas. Oh man. That's the question, Kolvek. Does the Shock show up? Here's my thing. I actually have way more confidence that Dallas will play the way that they need to play. Like, I'm confident in Dallas. Here's what we're going to do. 3-1, we're going to have a very similar first match. And then the Shock is going to beat the Outlaws 3-1. Outlaws run is going to end there, but they're going to be happy with that. And then Shock wins 4-3 Giga Banger Grand Finals. And the Shock is gonna win their first tournament with the rookies. They're gonna be settled in, and Dallas is gonna lose. I'm doing it. I may as well stay on the Dallas hate train. I'm already on the train. It's not even hate. God, this bracket is so bad. This bracket is actually so bad. Okay, this PSA. This bracket is off the goop. I don't even know what I'm saying. If this comes off, I'm a fucking genius. But I'm a trained professional. Do not try this at home. Okay? I'm a trained professional at disappointing my own bracket. It's not a hate train, chat. It's okay. It's not a hate train. You know what it is? Dallas, you guys already won a bunch of things, And I know it's going to sound weird, but San Francisco Shock, those players haven't won anything. Yes, the franchise is great, not in 2020, but these players, and I think they deserve to win something. And I think that they are in a good spot to win something. Shock hasn't. Not these players. The Dallas Fuel players have. Via two-time champion. Yeah, but he's the only one on that team who has won. So something in my heart of heart just wants to cheer for them. I won't be upset if Dallas wins, but... Okay. Chat. No, okay. Wobble wobble, motherfucker. I'm just saying, there's a chance. There's a chance. Okay, we're just gonna leave this here for a second, just so people can see it. Dragons lost one map all stage and they finished 3rd. Alright. I think I'm 3-1 Overwatch in here. Shanghai Dragons is going to beat it. I think it's going to be a 3-2 banger. And then Guangzhou is going to beat Philly. I think Philly's not going to show up as much. I think Philly loses in 5, actually, to Guangzhou. Guangzhou is going to lose 3-1 to Seoul. And then... I think Shanghai wins this. I think this is a Shanghai kind of tournament. It'll be close, but we're gonna go 4-2. I think Shanghai deserve to win this one. They're too good right now. I think it's hard to bet against them. Philly is gonna get second. They're not gonna get second. Philly would have to go crazy. Oh, yeah. Does Sorga turn up against Who Are You? He didn't when we most recently saw them. We're back in reality. Oh, okay. And those are my brackets. For better or for worse, those are my brackets. As I said, proceed with caution. I'm a little off the goop. My predictions and pick'ems have been a little wild this year. But hey, sometimes you got to live in your own alternate reality that makes you happy because real life is a little strange. And you don't appreciate it sometimes. And with that, that is my weekly recap. Thank you guys very much for watching. Toronto LAN starts in a few days. It's going to be a banger of a summer showdown. I hope you guys are looking forward to it. Congratulations and have fun to everyone who's going. Stay safe and make sure to tune in for all these games. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.